So we're here with Nick from Wonderstate Coffee. If you had 3 words to use to describe Wonderstate, what would you use?
I think the first word I would select is like earnest. I would say extraordinary. And I think I would say like we're very of our place. I don't know if that's like if there's a word for that. I think the wine word is terroir, which is like the taste of place. In many ways, Wonderstate is a company that reflects the place where our company is located. We're in rural Wisconsin. The area where we're at is like the home of many small organic farms. In the same way we work with smallholder, primarily organic farmers, our is a reflection of that as well.
Let's get down to the coffee. So it was this beautiful coffee. So maybe tell us a little bit about the coffee.
So, we're relatively new to sourcing in Huila, Colombia, kind of the homeland of like pink Bourbon. So this is our second time releasing Sierra Morena from the farmer Wilson Alva.
If we move on to identifying this coffee blind, what are maybe some visual cues to maybe tell that it's washed, it's pink Bourbon, and it's from Colombia?
As a green buyer who often participates in Leaderboard, the first thing I do is I look at the coffee. And the first thing you're going to notice about a pink Bourbon from Colombia, especially like a high altitude, very clean coffee, is going to be the shape of the seeds. They're going to be a little bit more elongated. They're going to be medium sized. They're not going to be round in shape like a Bourbon or a Typica would be. They're going to have that mild pointedness to them. The second thing you're going to notice is when you look at the seeds, color and density and the actual physical qualities of the coffee in terms of like the texture on the seeds are going to be relatively homogeneous. They're going to look similar across the bag. And that immediately, typically to me, tells me that the coffee is very likely washed. Now, not that there aren't very clean naturals, but naturals tend to have a different hue to them. Texturally, the surface of the seeds may be very smooth, and color is going to be less homogeneous, less even.
How would you maybe know that it's Colombia just by looking at it before you kind of dive into the cup?
There's only a select number of varieties that I have come across that are going to have elongated seeds. Typically pink Bourbon, sometimes Cedra and Paranema. And then there's some Cadimores that are being grown in parts of Peru now. I mean, immediately the shape is going to be an identifying marker that this variety is different. Depending on what options you have as far as varieties in the game, you're going to have to deduce that, hey, this isn't a standard heirloom varieties like a Currant, Typica, or Bourbon. As far as Colombia, I feel like there's nothing visually that says Colombia other than if you know right away it's pink Bourbon. I think that's all in the flavor.
So if we tuck into the flavor and the cup profile of this, what are the tells?
I'm going to always go back to that really clear, crisp, bright acidity. It's very clean. It's going to have strong textural elements to it, almost like a Kenyan coffee. I'm roasting some Kenyan coffees right now, and the main difference I'm finding between pink Bourbon from Huila and like a typical SL28 from Kenya is pink Bourbon is going to have a little bit more juiciness and fruitiness, whereas a classic SL28 is going to taste a little bit rustic. It's going to have some of that earthiness, that herbalness. This coffee isn't overly earthy or herbal that you might pick up on some of those elements, but there's none of that tomato going on. And so dead giveaway is like, okay, this isn't Kenya. I cup a lot of coffees, but there's very few places in the world where that intense texture gets combined with the fruitiness. And I think that for me is a dead giveaway that it's Colombia. That's a calling card for me of Colombian coffees is textural intensity mixed with really high clean acidity.